Wow, it was one of those games, Glenn and Macca, that was just full of incidents. So many things have happened. We're going to take you through it chronologically of all the key moments. But ultimately, Tottenham just have developed this knack of staying in a game. And even when it looks like it's escaping them, we saw it against Wolves at the weekend. We saw it against Brighton in the last Premier League game as well. And we saw it again tonight. Yeah. They're on the back foot. Yeah, but somehow they managed to rescue something.
Reshman, that's an ingredient that Thomas Frank had at Brentford. It's exactly lots of games where they stuck at it and they believed in themselves and they got late goals, they didn't put their head down, they kept playing. You know, tonight they come second best in a lot of areas of the pitch, Tottenham. And at the end of the day, when you play like that and you play a bit gritty, you can't play great football all the time and get a point or win matches. That's a great point to pick up away from home, a very difficult place to play. And they played very well. They played probably 9 out of 10, Bodo. They really did. Everything functioned well, defended well, and they created a lot, scored 2 great goals. But they've come off the pitch and they haven't won. And that shows you the strength of Tottenham now. You know, they can play resiliently and still pick up a point.
Yeah, and as for Bodo, I mean, look, they were 2-0 down in their first game of the Champions League last match day, and this one, it's sort of gone the other way around. But it just shows you that they are a side who are resilient. They actually had a great opportunity to go ahead. We're going to look at this. This was the penalty that didn't happen for them. It actually skied well over the bar. But this was the incident that led to the penalty. No doubts about this one, was there really? This was a bit rash from Bentancur.
it was just really sloppy. I mean, the overriding factor is you have to praise Tottenham. They weren't at the best. A load of individual areas by a lot of the players, whether it's Bentancur here, whether it's Bodo, whether it's Van de Ven later on. But the fact that they've played on an unusual surface, which of course they won on last year, but it's a different scenario and a different circumstances last year. But it is a lot more difficult to play on this type of surface, regardless of whether it's watered or not. It is unusual for Tottenham, and it does favour Bodo. So I'm with Glenn. They haven't been at the best at all. Bodo should have won, but they didn't. Tottenham have got away from this particular fixture, which is very difficult in itself. They've got away with a point, and they'll gladly take that and move on, because that is a really difficult game tonight on that particular surface, and they've done well to walk away from it, because they'll have better games at better surfaces when they're at home and when they play away at another couple of grounds. Yeah,
it was a difficult one to take for Bodo, that one. Kasper Høeg missed a penalty on the first match day as well, penalty, so a terrible night for him. But his compatriot, his colleague, Jens Petter Hauge, was able to turn it around with this goal. This is a real moment for him. He's actually a local boy, born and bred in the area.
It's quality. And look at the run. It's the overlap that actually creates him the space. We've highlighted there Johnson and Porro. They're not talking. They both go with the runner. That's the beauty of an overlap. Look, both of them go. He creates the space for him, and he comes inside and hits a beautiful foot off his right foot. Here, little dummy, comes inside, created that space by the overlap, and just curls it round Vicario. And you know, it was a well-worked goal, a teamwork goal, and that's the beauty of an overlap. You don't see them so much nowadays, but it stretches you as a defence. It makes you go another level out. And if you don't get it right, the 2 Spurs players didn't communicate. Yeah,
this is it. There's the miscommunication, isn't it? And that's
it's an awful goal to watch, isn't it? You know, if you're a manager, if you're Thomas Frank and you see that, you know, Johnson can see all the other 3 players, of course, and himself. He can easily shout at Porro, you go with the ball, you go with the run out. You can say anything to him to affect that situation. He mustn't have said a word, because the both of them let Høeg come inside the pitch where it's dangerous. And it just opens up the whole goal for him. And it was an awful start for Tottenham in the end. Yeah,
it was, but they did respond just moments later. But it didn't go according to plan. They did get this. Hold on, let's take a look. It was a disallowed goal at this point. So Bentancur, after conceding the penalty, looked like he had pulled Spurs level. But look what Mickey van de Ven is doing here. And this went to VAR. He was absolutely incandescent with rage that he'd been pulled up for it. But surely he can't argue with the fact that he was pulling.
Of course he can't argue with it. I mean, I get it if it's a defender pulling a forward shirt. It's the other way round. And he's not affecting the ball. He's not affecting anything. Why is a defender pulling another defender's shirt in there?
When you're the attacker, though, Steve, I found I'm scratching my head there. When you're the attacker, you don't pull shirts in there.
No.
If you're the defender and your man's got away from you, you might panic and pull. And if you do pull a shirt, pull it and then let it go. Don't hold it because they're gonna forensically look at it. So I didn't get that at all. And fortunately they got back in and got the equaliser later on.
But the game was littered with little tiny individual errors like that left you scratching your head. The first goal, that Van de Ven mistake, you think to yourself, what are they playing at?
Yeah.
But thankfully they livened up a bit later on.
They did, but not before this. 2-0.
But this was
even more errors.
This is an awful goal, isn't it? If you watch the under-18 team do this, you go crazy. Van de Ven, poor ball to the goalie. What is Jed Spence doing here? No idea. As a defender. Not a defensive ball in your body. And this is lovely play, and I'll forgive Porro slightly because he doesn't move his feet, and maybe it is because of the artificial surface, but this goal is shocking.
Yeah, it's poor.
Shocking in a Champions League game.
Well, it's a great finish, but it's shocking that it was allowed to happen.
You know what I like about the finish is that he's finished with his right foot.
Yeah.
And now he's just done his little bit of skill. He's shown me that he's a two-footed player, and he struck that in naturally. It's a great finish, left foot and right foot. You know, that's a talent.
Yeah, it's quite a night for Hauge then, as I say, local boy, and making history with Bodo Glimt with their first two Champions League goals at home. Now, Mickey van der Ven was quite agitated for quite a lot of the game after the disallowed goal, but being the captain, he did affect the game. He brought Spurs right back in it with this.
Yeah, it was a great header, wasn't it? His times his run perfectly. They take the short one, they catch him sleeping. They take the short one. Kudus' little ball back is great because Porro can hit it first time. And that's the major advantage. You can't defend a first-time ball. It's much harder. Van der Ven is just onside this time, but his body weight is going towards the ball. No one was going to stop him from heading that in the back of the net. It's a brilliant goal.
Yeah. He's got a knack of scoring those kind of goals, hasn't he? And Spurs really needed it then because they needed to come back into the game and they were fighting and scrapping right till the very end, which is what you were saying, the resilience that this team have now shown. And they did get that equaliser. We thought it could have been Richarlison. It was given as an own goal in the end, but they'll take it all day long.
I think it was an own goal. I mean, they could have equalised early on where Odegaard hits the bar, doesn't he, from close in. Every time the ball got crossed into the box, they made chances, actually, but they work it down the side. And he just fired across the front of the goal. I mean, VAR took a long time,
didn't it?
To decide that it was onside. We all thought it was onside. It looked as if it was onside. I mean, we didn't think it was that close. But looking across the pitch, you think the six is playing Richarlison onside. And yes, they get a bit of fortune, but you know what? Why not? Why not? They deserved it this evening. They've got away with one, no problem at all.
Fortunate for them, poorer spare thought for Gunderson. He'd come on the 87th minute and he'd conceded an own goal on the 89th. I mean, to be fair to him, it was the keeper.
Wasn't his fault, was it?
It was the keeper that basically...
They couldn't do much about it.
He'll appreciate you mentioning it, though, Right. Yeah, that's the main thing, anyway.
You'll be on the Christmas list.
Sorry, I hope you're not watching, Gunderson. But for Tottenham fans who are watching, what will they be taking from this? Because this is a side who, this is a side they beat 2-0, as you said, Macca, quite rightly. The circumstances were very different. And it took them on their way and brought them in this competition after winning the Europa League. But from this team now, there's grit, there's tenacity, there's a determination to keep staying and keep hanging on until the end. But on the pitch, there are things that need to be put right.
Yeah, but last year, what Spurs fans would be looking at and saying, if we performed like that last year, there's no way we would have performed anywhere near like that, where we're average and we get a point. Last year, if we performed average and we gave, were too easy to play against at times, we'd lose 3-0. We'd lose 3-1 or something. So they can take away the fact that we haven't got to play at our very best to get something out of a game. And that's a great trait for a longer, to be consistent. You can't outplay your teams every week, 90 minutes, and outplay them and score goals left, right and centre. There are times to be consistent where you've got to stick in there, and they stuck in there. They were good. We didn't look vulnerable defensively tonight, apart from we self-inflicted a little bit. But what we did do, we had a side that actually created something against us. It wasn't like we were giving too many opportunities away. The one we did give away when we should have cleared it properly, they end up scoring. So
Spurs were tough to watch last season, but they didn't always come away with something. They're still tough to watch this season, but at least they're coming away with a point or more.
Yes, you're swapping one for the other to an extent. You know, there's been some different results tonight. Liverpool lost tonight. You know, in Europe, they were perfect last year. So sometimes you have to take, you know, just the result and move on. It's as simple as that. Particularly in the Champions League, they've got a point away from home in difficult conditions. Forget all about it now because they'll improve from that performance.
But don't get me wrong, Spurs have played some good football this season. You know, Man City away, and there's games where they've really purred
PSG
and played well.
Yeah.
So it's not just, we can't just take one isolated result, but this is a good result to hang your hat on to say we ain't got to play well every week, but we can churn out a result.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed a difficult evening for a lot of your players out there tonight. What's your immediate reaction at full time?
I felt first that positive is, I think, the mentality and the character and the players was very good. Stayed in the game, kept fighting, and that gave us a very good point away from home when you're 2-0 down in a Champions League game, and especially against the Bodo team. This is very good here. Then you need to be happy with that. So I'm happy that we again got back into the game. I think that's very positive. I think until 2-0, I think it's fair to say, and especially the first half, Bodo was better than us. We know they're exceptionally good at what they're doing. Very well coached. So I think that was clear to see in first half. I think we struggled a little bit defensively. It was not enough time could sit the high pressure. And then I think the times when we were building up, we should have done that better and been a little bit more brave on the ball. But after 2-0, I felt we got into the game. I think we were the best team in the last part of the game.
Up until it went 2-0, why do you think your team struggled to keep the ball? It seemed there was quite a lot of loose passes, maybe people being caught on the ball a little bit. Was that something that Bodo Glimt were doing? Was it the surface? What do you think it was?
I don't want to complain about the surface. It is what it is. I think there is a situation where we could have kept the ball better, no doubt about that. That can just be on the day where it was not, you didn't hit your highest level as a team or a player. But I think the most important thing is to keep trying, keep doing the right thing.
And as you say, to keep trying and keep doing the right thing, how much pride do you take from the fact that they did that again today? Got the late goal against Wolves at the weekend. That seems to be a real factor in your team.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important that we got back from 2-0 down against Brighton, and we got back from against Wolves, we got back to again today. I think that's hugely important that we show that mentality and keep running, keep fighting hard, because you need to do that in football. No matter if you are on top of the game, sometimes a team can score out of nothing. So I think it's hugely important.
There weren't too many shots on goal, at least until 2-0 down. Richarlison seemed very isolated. I think he only had maybe 4 or 5 touches in the first half. Do you need players back, particularly midfield and attack, to really get something going forwards?
I think first half there's definitely something that we could have kept the ball a bit better. I don't think that was only on Richarlison. I think it was a little bit, probably a little bit of the structure of the team where we could have kept the ball better at situations. But that I'm not in doubt will improve.
But as you look at now with the 2 games that you've played, and this isn't an easy away game, to come away from those first 2 games with 4 points, are you pleased with how you've started? You've given yourself a platform to compete in the league phase. Yeah,
I think definitely. I think 4 points from the 2 games is good. And also today, when you get a point, I think that's a fine start, and then we need to work from here.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah, it is a fine start. I mean, it wasn't a classic against Villarreal in the first game. It was actually quite a difficult watch, and it was an own goal that got Spurs the victory. This was a hard-fought point as well, but 4 points from 2 games, their opening 2 games in the Champions League. You've been there, you know. I mean, you will take anything, and as you say, you just take it, you move on.
Particularly in this new format. Reshman, we know how many teams struggled last year, and the big teams, the Manchester Cities, the Real Madrids, the Paris Saint-Germain, were waiting to the final game to make sure they qualified. You know, you need to get it done as early as possible. You need to get as many points because, of course, financially you get money with those points as well. We've seen Tottenham's fixture list in this tournament, and it's friendly, particularly at home. The fixtures are friendly. So if you go and win those games and get a point away here and get a point away somewhere else, we know Paris Saint-Germain's hard, but get a point away at Eintracht Frankfurt, etc., you're going to qualify, and that's all that matters. And this game will be a thing in the past. You won't be, if they qualify, you won't be thinking, oh, they were lucky against Bodo Glimt. Who cares? They've got a point. Yeah. They came from 2 down. You move on, you get back home, and then you focus on Leeds. That's the most important thing now.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is with Spurs at the moment as well, I've always said it's when they've got to break a team down that they're going to struggle a little bit. I think Paris Saint-Germain is away is going to be an easier game for them. They'll perform better because it'll be a more open game, and I just see that City game as a template this season. Away at City, they countered really well. They put some lovely passing movements together, but they banked in and defended really strong. And I think that's when they play against better opposition, that's how they'll play. Other games...
It seems to suit them, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does suit them.
When they're sort of on the back foot, they kind of go in the trenches and come out fighting.
Yeah, I think to have that creativity, we're hoping that Xavi Simons, from Spurs' point of view, gets his feet under the table. He's a creative player. He might be able to unlock the door and open a team up. At the moment, he's just finding his feet. He's had some good performances. There's still, more to come from him. But at the end of the day, they've won at home and they've drawn away. And if they'd won today, that would have been 6 points. Fantastic. But they're nice. They're set fair. They're set fair to go on the next. Well, we're at home next. Let's win that game, and then we're going to get that momentum.
And you can change the team as well, can't you? At home, depending on the opposition, you can play Xavi Simons, you can play Kudus at the same time, you can play Richarlison, you can play Solanke if he's fit, or etc. But you pick and choose your formation and your side depending on if you're at home, if you're away, depending on the opposition, if you can go and beat. So if you play Paris Saint-Germain, you're a little bit more defensive-minded because Thomas Frank has got, he's got previous in that. What he did at Brentford, that's what he did. So there's absolutely no problem in doing that, changing your side around to suit the opposition and to suit whether you're home and away. Because the main thing is, in January, in February, that Tottenham are in the next round, in the knockout stages. That's all that matters.
That is all that matters. And Thomas Frank, very adept at, kind of being flexible in a game and tactically flexible and changing things.